Hey guys, welcome to episode 10 of the podcast. In this episode I got to sit down with Luke Morris. Now Luke is an absolute legend. I've known him for about 5 or 6 years now, I reckon. But we've never actually sat down for like an hour and a half and had a good chat. And so yeah, it was a perfect opportunity to do just that. And yeah, it was so much fun. Luke is a great dude. He is a retired Airforce Soldier. I'm pretty sure that's the right way to say that. So correct me if I'm wrong if it isn't. If not, I guess you'll find out by listening to the episode. He's in financial planning at the moment, but one of the things that came up is he's an avid hunter, which I didn't know about until we chatted in the episode. And yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool to sort of talk to him about that and like his process and why he enjoys it. And yeah, I had a lot of fun talking about it. I had a lot of fun talking about everything we spoke about. And yeah, I really hope you enjoy it also. And episode 10, so that's 10. That's double figures. I'm pretty sure if you have a child, you're meant to have a massive birthday party for them because they're not a teenager yet, are they? But I guess double figures is a big thing because they're not 9, they're 10. So we've done 10 episodes. I don't think it's really a birthday for the podcast, but hey, I'm celebrating because I'm pretty proud of that achievement. But I'm looking forward to episode 100 as well. We've got many more to go. I've recorded a few episodes now and yeah, it's great. I'm really loving it and I'm really enjoying hearing your feedback and hearing how much you guys are enjoying it as well. I'm trying to get better and better at it. I hope you are seeing the results of that and to make the experience better for you all and better for the guests. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to what the future has in store for this because I think I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep going as hard as I can possibly go at it and see what happens. I'm having fun. I hope you're having fun. That's all that matters at the end of the day. So yeah, the other thing, please like and subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, it really does matter. I know people say that all the time on the channels, but it turns out it does matter because it means it ranks a bit higher and more people can see it. And that's what we're all about, getting more people to see it so they can enjoy the conversations as well. And if you're listening on any of your streaming services, please comment or like or subscribe to that because also that means the world as well. It really does help, is what I'm learning. I'm just making this stuff up and turns out one of the things that matters is reviews, likes and subscriptions. So that's the next thing for us to do. So yeah, as you can tell I'm making it up by this intro because I'm babbling a lot and I do apologise for that. We're going to end very shortly. But I just wanted to say a huge thank you for listening for the last 10 episodes or watching, and I'm excited to see what happens in the future and I'm really excited to have you guys along for the ride. So have a great day, whatever you're doing. I really hope you enjoy this conversation. It was a blast to sit down and chat to Luke, and I really hope you enjoy this conversation with Luke Morris. See you guys. You're obviously here on a Thursday.
Yeah.
So you have a day off on a Thursday? You say?
Yeah. For the most part, it's usually Thursdays. It's a little bit flexible. I can take, but I work 4 days at the moment.
Where are you working?
So I work as a financial advisor at.
That's right.
In the city, just a little boutique firm, self-licensed firm.
Yeah.
So yeah, really enjoying that. I've been doing it for last almost year and a half now.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, you went and studied that, didn't you? Or something?
Yeah, I went and studied it for a bit. I did my mortgage broking certification and then my financial planning certification, and then got into it. Now they've changed it all, and I have to go and do a degree, so I'm studying more.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that course you did isn't less like it's not valid.
It's still alright at the moment because of the timing of when I got into the industry.
Yeah, it's
still relevant at the moment, but we're going through like a transition period at the moment. So any new people coming in have to be degree qualified before they come in.
Is that for just that place that you're working or for the industry?
No, for the industry. So financial advisors in general. And then we've got that transition period where we have to get a degree within that certain time frame and do a professional exam and all that kind of stuff.
Is that because there's a lot of dodgy people around?
Yeah, kind of. It was in the works a little bit before the Royal Commission into banking and all that, but that kind of exploded it a bit more.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, there's still ongoing things that they're working out compliance wise and stuff like that. But one of the big effects for us is we have to go back to uni and get degrees.
Yeah. So how's that going to work? Are you just going to have to do that in your spare time?
Yeah,
right.
pretty much.
How long's the degree?
I was fortunate that I'd already studied part of my Bachelor of Commerce.
Okay.
So I just kind of picked up where I left off with that. But it's a normal like 4-year degree.
Yeah, right.
And then obviously if people are doing it part time, it's going to take longer than that.
Yeah, well, okay. That's
but I've got about a year's worth full time left to go.
Oh, right.
And then I'll be done. So not too bad.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
So because you get a lot of, is that because you get was it RPL? Was it?
Yeah, I got a lot of RPL, so
recognition
of prior learning.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's good then.
Yeah, yeah. So I was pretty happy with that. So yeah, I studied all of that while I was off work between the jobs, and then kind of fell into the position that I'm at the moment through someone who was working at the firm, knew me and knew the owner, obviously, and mentioned to the owner that I was looking for a career in that kind of industry, and would he be happy to have a chat with me, let me know, what's going on in the industry, that sort of stuff, what to expect. And I went in, and he's told me since I met him that first time that after that meeting, he was like, "Oh, this guy's really great. I'd love to have him. I just can't. The business is at a point at the moment where I can't afford to put him on." So I went back and saw him a few more times at his request, and then he it kind of just naturally came about that what he could afford, I was happy to take at that time. So it was kind of a blessing for both of us. He was able to give me a job. I was able and get into the industry, get my foot in the door.
Yeah, that doesn't happen very often. I imagine.
No, and it was, usually he wouldn't have been able to employ a financial advisor, at a normal rate. So it was kind of like it was a really good,
awesome.
And I mean it's a fully Christian firm,
okay,
which is really hard to find in the finance industry.
Yeah.
So
a lot of integrity.
So that's a real blessing as well, just to be able to go to work every day and have that kind of environment. Slightly different morals and standards, I suppose.
Yeah.
And it just aligns with how you hold yourself a lot more. So
it
really works well in that.
Do you find they're a lot more sort of obviously looking out for the customer's sort of best interest a lot more than say another place where they're just looking at their bottom line?
Yeah, I mean,
still a balance.
Yeah, there is a degree of that. I mean, any good financial planner will be looking at for the client's best interest.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is an element of probably a little bit more grace in that area.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much smart business moves every single time. It's sort of more favouring the helping people.
Yes.
More so than running a really profitable business.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, you also got to think, well, if the business isn't around, then we can't help people. So you have to really be smart about how you operate a business as well. So it's a kind of a balancing act a little bit, but no, we're doing really well. Really happy with where the business is headed, and yeah, I'm really enjoying my position in there.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's so good.
Yeah,
had you always wanted to do like financial planning, things like that?
No. So I'd always had an interest in like the economy and economics and that sort of stuff, but it didn't really come to me that I would ever work in the industry or anything like that. It was more of just an interest. I thought for a while that I may get into business in some aspect. So I started
as in like running a business, like entrepreneur.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
okay.
So I started studying at that point in time for the Bachelor of Business.
Okay.
And I hit some of the financial subjects in that, so accounting, that sort of stuff, and kind of tweaked my degree from there.
Yeah,
and
right.
started going more down the finance
You kind
side of things.
found that and you're like, oh, I like that. Let's dig into that more. Yeah.
Yeah, so my degree went from a Bachelor of Business to a Bachelor of Commerce, majoring in sustainable business and accounting, and having a minor in it wasn't sustainable business. It was majoring in accounting with a minor in business and sustainable agriculture.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So I did that for a while, and then converted it when I found out all of these new regulations coming in, converted to a Bachelor of Commerce, majoring in financial planning, which is the degree that everyone has to have as a financial advisor these days.
So you mentioned minor of sustainable agriculture.
Yeah, sustainable business
So
and then agriculture.
So that's kind of, because we were talking about hunting before.
Yeah.
This is my little segue into that, I guess. I was like, thank you, Luke. So that's something you're interested in then as well.
Yeah. Look, I love agriculture in general.
Yeah.
My parents actually, funnily enough, have always said I should have been born on a farm, and that'd be like probably my top 3 dream jobs would be to own one of those farms out in Whoop Whoop, Australia, where you have to take a helicopter to get to the house, kind of thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'd love that. That'd just be
That's so funny.
That'd be incredible.
Where do you think that came from?
I really don't know, because so one of my uncles had a small cattle property when we were growing up, but we didn't have too much to do with it. We had some friends out west who also had a cattle property that we went out and saw every now and then. Other than that, though, there wasn't really anything until I was older. I was an adult, and I was living down in Canberra, and started helping out with someone who I met down there, and he owned a sheep property.
Okay.
800 acres, about 2,500 sheep on there.
Yeah, right.
And merino, so they're the wool sheeps.
Yeah.
And helped out there. I didn't do shearing as such, but they usually hire a team in who are fairly.
Okay. They come in.
They gel pretty well together, and they just smash it out. So I picked up ways of how to shear. Like, they taught me how to, but I never actually did it.
You never actually were on it enough to kind of you just played around.
Yeah. But it was funny, they you do all the ewes first, all the female sheep first, and then the rams would come in, and obviously merino rams have the big horns on them and that sort of stuff.
That flipping ad.
Rams
insurance.
Yeah. That's
insurance,
right.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. And so they'd cram them all into this pen that the shearers would then pull out. But you get down to the last one, and the last one has enough room that he can kind of get a run up and charge at you. So you kind of draw straws to see who goes in there to grab this ram out.
Yeah, they're nasty, eh?
Yeah, but it was quite funny. It was good times. But yeah, like I used to take holidays off work to go and help out there during key times of the seasons. It was about a 2.5 hour drive from where I worked to the farm.
And that was in Canberra, you're saying? Yeah.
In Canberra, yeah. And I used to drive, after work, a day of work, I used to drive and go to the farm just to help spray weeds in a paddock or something, just because I enjoyed being out there. So yeah, it was good.
No, I guess it is nice being like a fair way out, isn't it? It's kind of, be honest, I'm quite a city boy, I think. Like the idea of me living on a farm is like, I couldn't do that. Maybe on a boat, that's the opposite. But, like, it is nice when you're out there and it's just there's just not much noise. Pollution. It is a nice.
Yeah, it's just a really nice environment, I think. And I love outdoors, so a lot of my hobbies are outdoors, like you said, hunting, love being out in the bush kind of thing. So just that kind of, I don't know where it came from originally, but it's just been something that I've really had a passion for. And I love I have a real interest in livestock mainly. I'm not as interested in crop farming as livestock, but just the management of livestock and stuff like that I have a real interest in too. So yeah,
it's very interesting. Hey,
yeah.
I remember I watched, that TV show. I don't even know if it's still on, called Landline.
Yeah,
it's the one that you kind of I'd watch it when I was either was sick at home from school, or like I think it's sometimes on a Sunday afternoon or something.
Yeah,
and a lot of times my parents would be watching. I'm like, oh, what? Can we watch cartoons or something? But then a few times I watched it, and watching these like massive cattle farms, and I saw just the amount of stock, and then also the amount of people and the infrastructure. Like this is like a full on. Well, it's a full on business.
Yeah, it's a business. Yeah,
because you think of how. Sorry to any like vegans or vegetarians, but you think of like how much meat the majority of us eat. That's all got to come from somewhere.
Yeah, so much.
And I guess it's getting better and better, but it's got to come in a sustainable way, in a way that also treats those animals humanely, because that's rightly so, that's become a big thing where people are really looking at them hard, the industry. It blew my mind.
Yeah.
It's just like, even I worked a little bit out west as a sparky,
and
you drive past, and I drove past one day, and on the side of the road was like, I think it must have been like a cattle auction, I don't know what they call that. Yeah,
just at the cattle yards.
Yeah, and it was insane.
Yeah.
I was like, what is happening
here? Like, this and the money that some of those cattle go for as well, like
like prize
breeding
bulls and stuff.
Breeding bulls and stuff like that just go. It's
a different world.
It's insane. Yeah.
It's a different world, but it's crazy how much we rely on that, but we don't think about it.
Yeah.
Like it is. Yeah. I find myself, I'm learning how little I know about those, like how almost like unconsciously naive. I think that means the same thing, but I'm just like, oh, I never actually thought about that. I just order it. It arrives on my plate,
And I mean, you see jokes around, especially on social media these days, of like parents asking kids where meat comes from or something. It's it comes from Woolies.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not unheard of to not know where things come from, which is, that's just the world we live in.
I heard some crazy statistic, and whenever I'm, just for people listening, whenever I say I heard some crazy statistic, it could be 100% wrong. But I heard it, and they were saying that, like, in America, because it's always flipping America, more kids don't know where milk comes from than do, because they just see milk and it comes out of a carton.
It wouldn't surprise me because of like convenience these days.
Yeah.
It's just so easy to not need to know.
Yeah, exactly.
And people's lives are so busy, and you try and, like, there's so much information that we try and cram into people's heads all day that if you don't need to know, you just don't worry about it.
And even I was thinking about it because I'm like, oh, surely that's not right. Like, kids must be idiots if they don't realize that. But then even like when I went the other day to buy milk, I was like, there's not that many cows on the packaging anymore.
Yeah,
because it's all just like, pools or whatever.
Yeah,
there's very few where it's like, oh, there's a cow on there. Like, oh, that makes like even cheese. Like, where did cheese come from? Like, comes from the same place. Well, yeah, sort of does. But that sort of stuff's amazing.
Yeah,
and I think it's becoming more and more common. Hey, like, as we have so much, what I would say, not necessarily pointless information, but information overload.
Yeah.
Stuff just drops out.
That's it. There's so much information and so much stimulus being thrown at us 24/7.
Yeah.
That you can't take it all in and hold all of that information.
Yeah.
So some things, and it's the stuff that doesn't really affect us, isn't really important to us, that gets thrown out, which is fine.
Yeah. I went down like a rabbit hole of just watching, like when I try and learn something, like even for this podcast I was telling you before, I had to teach myself how to edit videos. I'm still terrible at it. But just there's like, millions of videos on people going, this is how you do this.
Yeah.
Pro. I help, how YouTube, like, they conveniently do it where it just plays on. Like and I just found myself listening to so much stuff. And then when I would actually go to do it, I'm like, I can't remember any of this.
Yeah.
Like, I'd have to then go back and watch it. So I'm getting better at it, but I'm trying to make a conscious decision to just, like, find one person and then learn how to do the way that they've told me. And then once that doesn't work or does work, then I'll
once
find
you need to
another
look
one.
for something else.
Because I find if I look at 20 different ways of doing something, it's just overwhelming.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's just there's so much. Information is so easy to get out to people and for us to get these days that it can be information overload at times.
Yeah,
for sure.
It is nuts, isn't it? It's just like that whole, even how they talk about like we don't need to remember anything anymore.
Yeah,
like kids.
Yeah,
because
it's all you just pick up your phone and you can look it up straight
Wikipedia.
away.
Like literally, if you want to know anything,
that's right.
Well, pretty much anything. Maybe not like the meaning of life or whatever.
Yeah, but within a few minutes you can
figure it out. You can get someone else's opinion on what they think the meaning of life is.
You may not get the answer, but you'll get a lot of people's opinions.
Yeah, exactly. You'll get an Instagram famous like model or something telling you what hers is. But,
for sure.
Like it is an amazing time, like place in time that we are in right now.
When you look at information sharing, it's incredible.
It is nuts
how much information we can share. It's crazy.
And the crazy thing is as well, like there's definitely pros and cons. I found myself like a couple of years ago becoming like a bit of like a technology Scrooge, I reckon, where I was like, it's wrecking society, doing all this. And then I would like, while I'm doing that, I'm watching a YouTube video and I'm like, oh, this is so convenient.
Yeah.
But the pros are like, there's never been more opportunity for people.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, I think the counter of that is that there's a lot of crap out there as well. There's a lot of
you have to sift through.
Yeah,
you can waste some time sifting through a lot of junk.
So you've got to really spend time if you want to create something. Like even this podcast, coming back to it, there's millions of podcasts out there. So my job is and I'm trying to every episode become better and better.
Yeah.
So you kind of not rise to the top necessarily, but sift, be a bit above average.
Yeah. And so long as, in that sense, so long as you don't measure yourself against other people and measure yourself against the past you.
Exactly.
And so long as you just get slowly better and better.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it, I reckon.
That's it, hey.
That's a healthy way of improving.
Yeah, that's key. Because you're never like, we're talking off air. I said off air. That's a bit fancy. We're talking about Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
I think I've talked about him every single episode.
Yeah, right.
Like, people are just going to think I've shaved my head to look like him. I'm going to the gym a bit more.
Yeah.
I've got a while to go yet. But like people must think I'm just obsessed with him. Maybe I am a little bit, let's be honest. But I can't compare myself to him. He's done like 1,700 episodes.
Yeah.
I think he just had his 10th anniversary of the podcast or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Like maybe I can compare myself when I'm 1,700 episodes in as well. But there's just no point.
Yeah.
Like, and also I can compare things like the quality of like the audio and video and things and be like, okay, that's a good
But that's
standard.
about it.
Yeah, because we're different people.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm totally different to some guy who grew up in Brooklyn or wherever, New Jersey or wherever he grew up. It's totally different life.
Yeah, different culture, different life, different. He's got different interests and hobbies and professions and stuff like that. So different circle of friends, all that sort of stuff. So
it is.
It's all going to be different.
It's one of the things I've shared before as well is I think the way that I kind of measure success for myself is there's two versions of myself, right? There's the version of me right now, and then in an alternate universe kind of thing, there's the version of myself who's like reaching his utmost potential. Like everything he is possibly here to do, he's doing it, he's smashing it. When we eventually die and hopefully go to heaven, or we'll go to heaven, I want to meet this guy and be like, dude, we like best mates. Like we know each other so well.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like, I could have been.
Yeah. No, that's a good way to look at it.
So that's kind of like, I'm constantly like in my head thinking, if this opportunity, would that other version of myself, would he grab that opportunity right now and run with it? Would he be slacking off right now? Would he be working hard? You know? And it sounds trivial, but it kind of, for me anyway, it's really helped almost like have that frame of reference, I think.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean. And that's, like I said, that's a good way of looking at it. I reckon. And comparing yourself to, I guess, what you perceive a better version of yourself would be, rather than saying, I wish I could be whoever.
Yeah.
Because they're different.
Yeah. And what is that? There's like a saying, like you're comparing your I'm going to butcher it. It's like something about like you're comparing your today to somebody else's yesterday or something like that,
Sure,
you know?
yeah.
So like there's no point.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the saying at all.
Yeah.
What I just said.
I get what
you get what I mean though.
What
like
you're saying,
yeah, you're comparing, like for instance, you go, I'm comparing this episode to Joe Rogan's 1500th episode. Then that's not a comparison.
Yeah,
like
that's
I'm
right.
comparing my starting point to somebody else's. Like he's kind of in the peak of his career, you know.
Yeah.
Like if you want to be an actor, there's no you can look at someone like, say, who's a really good actor. I don't know.
Hugh Jackman,
Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage.
He's been in some pretty good movies. He's a good actor that's been in some terrible movies. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I'll stick by Nicolas Cage. But you can't, like, if you're, say you go at acting school right now, you can look at some of that and be like, that's the standard I want to hit.
Yeah.
But you can't go, oh, I'm rubbish because I'm not like that. Like, well, okay, well, when you've done as many movies as that and put in the hard yards.
Yeah, that's it.
If you're a comedian, don't compare yourself to Dave Chappelle. Like, that guy's been working his butt off for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Like, just get out there and start.
Or if you want to, compare yourself to when they started.
Yeah,
Go back and look at when they started.
Things like that.
And kind of, have a look at what they were like then.
Yeah, that's what you have to do, hey?
Yeah.
I do that. I find myself doing that a lot of, because I love listening to podcasts and stuff myself. When I feel that creeping in, when I'm like, oh, why am I even bothering? I'll like go to like the oldest video, search by oldest. Sometimes they've like flipping like hidden their old stuff because they're embarrassed or something. But you watch it and you're like, oh, I feel much better about myself now, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
Especially if they've kind of like just starting from the bottom, whereas like some people, their first one, they've already kind of done other things and so they've got a big budget and this sort of thing. But I really like sort of going back in somebody's journey and seeing where they're going, which leads into like, that's why I like sitting down with people and kind of talking, but then also like going back into their story as well. I think it's fascinating.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People's stories are always fascinating.
Yeah, and that's exactly right.
And you can learn so much, but you just get an insight into someone else's little world. Yeah. Which is it's incredible.
And people don't have to be like a motivational speaker to encourage someone.
Yeah, 100%.
Like just through sharing their story, sometimes someone can go, oh, yeah, that's where I am right now. Or like that gives me hope and that sort of thing. And I think sometimes we too easily forget that as well.
Yeah.
Like even for me, like I find myself, like I need some inspiration. So you search for that kind of person who's killing it. They're speaking to like 20,000 people or whatever. But you're like, there's just as much inspiration I find just sitting and talking to my wife.
Yeah. And sometimes it's even more so because it's real.
Exactly.
It's not like a performance or something like that.
Yeah, and it's like relatable as well.
Yeah.
And you kind of feel like you're almost doing that journey together with them as well. Definitely. Yeah. So it is cool, hey.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got onto that. That was like a crazy roller coaster of topics right there. But that's all part of the fun.
That's part of conversation.
Yeah. So you mentioned hunting. So you're saying before that you enjoy bow hunting. Is that sort of the only hunting that you enjoy? Or?
Yeah. So I do both. I do bow hunting and firearms rifle hunting. I really enjoy bow hunting for a couple of reasons. One, it's a lot of people kind of imagine bow hunting as being more challenging. It's challenging in a different way, I suppose.
Yeah, okay.
But the gear that you carry is a lot more lightweight, so it's a little bit different in that aspect.
A bit more nimble.
You get up close and personal to the animals. The techniques that you use to hunt with bows is slightly different, and it's just a little bit more raw and down to earth, I suppose,
Yeah.
in a few ways. So, but I really love both. I really love taking a rifle out and filling the freezer as well.
Yeah.
Just as much as I like taking the bow out.
Yeah. What sort of stuff do you usually like? What are you chasing?
Mainly deer.
Yeah.
I love hunting deer. They're just really magnificent animals to start off with, to get out in nature with. And quite often, we'll go out hunting either on my own or with some mates, and not necessarily actually get an animal on the ground and bring it home, but even just sitting out on the side of a cliff or the side of a mountain and just watching them, and just watching them interact and learn about, I'm in their environment now. Yeah. Learn about how they work, and and you can learn so much from them too. I mean, just watching how they go from a nighttime of rest to where they venture up mountains to find sun, in winter and stuff like that, to warm up, and then going to find the grazing that they want to go to, and what mountains they pick, whereabouts on the mountain they pick, so that they get thermals or they don't get wind draft and all that sort of stuff. It's just incredible how all that is kind of built into their mechanics and how they live. And so it's really cool to just sit there and just watch that unfold. And
that's cool.
Certain seasons, where there's the season that is quite commonly known as the roar, which is where the male bucks are, starting to fight for female attention, because it's getting into breeding season.
That's the videos I've seen,
and that's pretty cool to sit there and just watch these huge animals. I mean, we say they're huge. They're huge by Australian standards. They're not huge by like elk and moose standards. But yeah, they kind of and they let out these roars to
it's amazing
to try and warn other males.
And find some chicky babes.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to just sit there and watch sometimes as well, and not necessarily hunt or not necessarily.
So often
animals.
we think like they're just sitting there eating grass. That's it. Like you drive past horses and you're like, what do you do all day?
Yeah.
But then in the wild, in a paddock, that's probably all they're doing, to be honest, because there's nothing else. There's no predators here. There's nothing else to do. But in the wild, there's this full on, as you say, it's built into their kind of mechanics. Like, this is what we do. This is how
right.
life happens.
And then in the middle of the day, especially for the Australian climate, in the middle of the day, they'll go and find shelter because it's just too hot for them. So they'll go and conserve their energy and bed down, curl up and have a bit of a siesta in the middle of the day in some shade. Just learning about how they live. One, it makes you a much better hunter, because you can identify with what they're doing, and you can kind of predict what their next move is going to be. But it's just really fun to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
Well.
They're amazing, hey? A lot of them as well. I used to work with a guy who was right into bow hunting, and he used to go to Northern Territory, I think, because they would have like farmers that would contract him in, because I was with him and I was really interested in it. But another guy, was kind of like, what are you killing these animals for? Like, you just talked about how they're so magnificent and they're beautiful and they're majestic, and then you go and put an arrow through them. And he's like, no, you don't understand. Like, these guys, they are beautiful and majestic, but they are wrecking this land. Like, they are real. In some places, not everywhere, but in some places, they're a real pest. It's like, you've got to bring the numbers down.
Yeah.
Just like shooting and stuff.
So deer's an introduced species.
Yeah, right. Where did it come from?
Not many people know that. I'm pretty sure it came from England.
Okay.
They came over on boats or something like that way back in the day. But yeah, they're an introduced species, so they don't have huge predators in Australia, and a lot of the things that would control the population over in their native countries don't apply in Australia. So they're an introduced species, and they run rampant.
Because what would be their predators? Like, we don't have bears.
Yeah, we don't, and
lions.
Yeah, big cats and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's not really much else, is there?
We've
wild dogs.
We've got wild dogs. We've got foxes, but foxes, they'd be hard pressed taking down
you need about
full size
50
male
of them.
deer.
That's for sure. They'd have to be pretty organised.
Probably their main predators really are us and each other during that raw time. Like they've, I haven't actually seen it in real life before, but I've seen some photos of deer antlers stuck in other bucks' sides and stuff like that. They're tough animals.
Yeah.
But and they go for gold when they're fighting.
It's on, isn't it?
Yeah, but
life or death, really.
Yeah. But so that's in Australia. That's probably the main two things I reckon. That
because I guess if they fight, then that also something they could probably get injured and then infection and stuff.
Yeah,
and die from that.
Yeah. I mean, nature is cruel when it comes to death in nature. It's how some of those animals die is just
it's brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's hugely brutal and long and painful a lot of the time as well. So
nature. That's what I learned a lot because I used to be I was never against hunting, but I used to always be like, oh, I don't know if it was just never a thing. It was never on my radar. I had friends that were hunters. I'd be like, I could never go and do that. But then as I started, I sort of almost forced myself to be like, if I'm going to eat this stuff and enjoy it, I need to have an appreciation and not desensitize myself necessarily, but kind of open my eyes to the world that is the natural world, but then also just the reality of where does this stuff come from. So I watched quite a few videos of, and just nature's just crazy.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah, there's not much compassion in nature. Hey?
No.
It's just kill or be killed.
Yeah.
And it is incredible when you look at the bigger picture then how different than humans are. Like everyone says, we are which we are, we're kind of an animal, I guess. But and there's some brutal humans, obviously, but how as a whole we're so different to that.
There's an element of compassion and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
That you don't. You kind of see that in a relationship between, say, a mother and a young animal.
Yeah.
But there's not varying levels of that compassion, I suppose, in a lot of animals.
Yeah. Especially when it's as you say, this raw season, it's breeding season and things. It's get out of my way.
Yeah.
It's just about I just need to create offspring and that's about it.
Yeah.
And even then, when they grow up, they'll usually fight against each other and stuff. A lot. Wow. It is nuts. That's for sure.
So deer is the main one that I love to hunt. Goats.
Okay.
That's more opportunistic. I don't go out going, I'm gonna go hunting for goats this time around. But if a lot of the places that I go hunting for deer, goats naturally will.
They're in that same area.
That kind of habitat for them too.
Yeah.
So and it brings on new challenges as well with hunting with goats. They love cliff faces and that sort of stuff. So it's it's a little bit different environment to get into for them. Those two, and then any pests that farmers, that sort of stuff, want to get rid of because they're destroying land, as you said, or
killing other animals.
Foxes for when I was out at that sheep farm, foxes were a big one.
Yeah, they're brutal.
And they will kill for fun. They will, I've seen it before. Night times at that farm, you'll see them stalk a lamb or a sheep. And they will kill it and then just walk away from it, not even eat it, just walk away.
Yeah.
Which is so bizarre because it's not something that you usually see in the wild. If they're going to expend all that energy to hunt something, they're going to get that energy back by eating it. That's
they're
the
doing
idea.
it for survival. That's what you think, isn't it? Yeah.
But foxes seem to, there's sometimes that foxes just seem to, just play.
I've seen that with...
just do it for fun.
I think it was one of those David Attenborough things with hyenas. Same thing.
Right.
They just, as a group, they just surrounded this, I think it was a deer.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a little border buffalo or something.
Yeah.
And they just pissed it off, to be honest. They just were biting at it, snapping at it. And then when it went down on the ground, they all left.
Yeah.
And David Attenborough, with his commentating, how he does it. But he's this is an example of they were just young hyenas just playing around.
Yeah, right.
You're like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, that is nuts.
Yeah,
yeah. Even I remember...
and I mean, scavengers will come and clean that up, but it's just bizarre.
It doesn't make sense,
yeah,
though.
You know,
like why would they kill it for scavengers if it's not for fun? Like there's no other reason, really. Is there? Yeah. Even down at Ormo, down at Livingston School, James was telling me, James Bignell, he was telling me that they had like the kids. It was quite sad and pretty brutal, but all the kids had like a hobby like farm, part of their like I think they do agricultural studies or something.
Sure.
So I think they had sheep and maybe some goats and stuff like this. But then over one weekend, some like I think they were dogs, like wild dogs got in and just went berserk on this. But same thing, left it all. Because they had CCTV footage of it, security camera footage, and you could see the dogs kind of like riling each other up to go for it. And you're like, that is purely just fun.
Yeah.
Like
And
the poor kids came back to just this massacre of animals.
Yeah.
Traumatizing.
I don't have any problems with shooting wild dogs or foxes or anything like that because I've seen the damage that they do and it's just brutal. Yeah.
And we've kind of like, because we've domesticated them, we've kind of had this. Dogs, I think, for a lot of people, they're like a different animal.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, they're all cute and cuddly, and they're like, yeah, they're still an animal though. Like if it wants to go, it'll go,
Yeah, I mean, I've got a pet dog, and so it was. I'll admit there was this step that I had to take to get past shooting dogs. But seeing what they do, that first time that I saw what they do really changed it for me. And I was like, these things have got to go there. The difference between a pet domesticated dog compared to what these wild dogs do is just like,
and when you say what are they doing, they're getting in and wrecking crops and animals and
so the dogs, they're just killing animals and not in a really quick, ethical from our perspective way. They'll get in and they'll just like tear at its belly and rip its guts out, and this animal will be walking around like that sort of
not
sort
like
of stuff.
A tiger around the neck kind of thing. Kill it all good.
No, this is a long painful death
and it's just like torturing an animal.
So once I saw that's the sort of stuff that they did, I was like,
see you later.
I'm more than okay with shooting them now.
Yeah, definitely.
Again, those sort of dogs, foxes, wild cats, all that sort of stuff, I don't go out looking for them unless I'm on a farm where the owner has said, I want you to kill these. But if the opportunity presents itself and it's there, then I'll take it down.
Take one out. Because they're everywhere, right?
They're everywhere.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, and again, they're kind of at the top of their food chain as well. So there's not much that stops them from doing what they do.
Not many predators around. Because they're quick and can attack stuff. And they're in numbers as well. That's probably their pack animals. Definitely.
So it's a interest of mine, but it's also I enjoy it for the aspect of providing food. I love eating meat, and it kind of it's going to sound a bit contradictory, and it was something that I wrestled with quite a lot as well in my mind because I love agriculture, but it's not sustainable the way that we're farming animals for meat.
Yeah.
And some of the processes that happen in there, I don't quite agree with some aspects of it. So hunting for me for meat is, I think it's more sustainable. It's more sustainable than even going on a full plant-based diet or anything like that, because that just creates monoculture crop farms. Which has
what do you mean by monoculture?
Like big crop farms of just one, like just corn or just lettuce or something like that, which has an impact on, like an environmental impact in itself as well. So, so for me, the most sustainable way is, eating a mix of both. And if I can get my meat from a pest species that's in overpopulation in the country, that is also helping out agriculture because you're reducing damage that happens to agriculture, and it's a sustainable resource. Like they're out wild, they're reproducing all the time, and so it's a ever growing, ever sustainable resource that you can just keep harvesting off.
Yeah, it makes sense. Hey, yeah,
that's and it's clean meat. Like it's not pumped full of anything that you don't know about.
And all that, whatever they put
not that happens an overly large amount in Australia that I know of. It's more overseas that
they do it in a lot.
Happens.
Is it in chickens that they do a lot of?
It can be. I don't know too much about chickens, but
I've just seen those things where these poor chickens, because it's all about the chicken breast, right?
Yeah,
they pump them so full of steroids that they literally can't stand up because it's all like a huge body and tiny legs because they grow so fast because of all the crap that they got. That's crazy. Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah. So and that's just supply and demand. Like there's more demand out there than we can supply at the moment.
Yeah.
So there's actually a study that I read quite a while ago on wild meat versus farmed meat, and as a general rule, you'll get more. The chemical compositions in meat. One of the fats that comes through is the omega fats.
Okay.
And you have I think it's omega-3 and omega-6. Omega-3 is a really good fat. You hear it all the time, in fish oil and that sort of stuff.
Good for your brain and muscles. And
and it's an anti-inflammatory fat, whereas omega-6 is like an inflammatory fat. And the science behind it, and there might be a medical professional that knows way more about this than me that listens. But
you heard it on YouTube.
But the science behind it is that there's some ratio that most people's bodies run best at, where you want a bit of inflammatory response. If you get an infection or something like that, you want your body to try and fight it.
Yeah.
And that's by an inflammatory response. So you want some of those like things that promote an inflammatory response in your body, but you don't want it to be over emphasized.
Because inflammation is massive. I'm useless at anything medical, but like so many, which I never realized until recently, but so many of these foods, they do cause all the inflammation and everything.
And it contributes to so much stuff that I know of, like arthritis and all that sort of stuff. So, so there's this ratio apparently that's really good. Well, in farmed meat as an average, you get a higher rate of that inflammation stuff, and a lower rate of the anti-inflammatory omegas. And then in wild, grass grazing animals that are out using their muscles, running around, all that sort of stuff, it's swapped. And it's more in line with what our bodies need. So even getting down to that sort of stuff, I just find that wild animals where I can, and it's not always that the freezer's full. It's not always that I'm eating just that meat. I still go to the supermarket and buy steaks and stuff like that. But where I can, I'd much prefer to be eating that.
Yeah, I saw a study. Well, it was somebody talking about a study. They are talking about, it's very much in line with what you just said. They did research into like hunter-gatherer communities, but then also like I think they looked into like the American Indians at one point, and sort of the causes that they died from. And a lot of it was from fighting with each other, because that's what they did. But they had like hugely less cases of like deaths from, things like I think it was like heart disease and like things that inflammation causes. Most of them were like from just diseases and like more like infections, that kind of thing. And they said it's because they just ate off the land.
Yeah, just
that's
clean.
what they were killing. That there wasn't any of this corporatized farming and things like that. And people, I think, still died. They didn't live as long, but they're just their reasons for death were different.
I was
saying, like, if in today's world we're living longer, but we don't have as much risk of infection as they did back then. I think infection. I don't know what they said. Oh, like if we can treat things, like if we get the flu.
Yeah, our medicine is quite high.
Whereas a lot of people would die from the flu.
Yeah.
But if we actually were more mindful of what we ate, we would keep living as long. But, you see these people.
Your quality of life would be a lot
they're
better.
all these people, poor people that are all just bent over, like osteoporosis and all this sort of thing. And you're like, I don't necessarily think that is... Like, I'm not convinced that is just what happens when you get old. I think that can be... Like, obviously, things wear out. I don't think we can all be the body of a 20-year-old until we're 100 and then it's all over. But you can use you. It's that whole use it or lose it.
Yeah.
Use your body. These people that just sitting in a chair all day just wrecks you. Even I've been going to the gym a fair bit, and there's been a few, like even like our front squats that we've been doing. I always feel like I'm like falling forward. So I was talking to the trainer, and she's really switched on with all the. She's got a PhD in
what, biomechanics or something.
Something like that. Yeah. And but she's like, "Oh, do you have an office job?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do at the moment." She's like, "Well, do this exercise, and you kind of stand against the wall with your hands on the wall, and you should be able to squat down, and your hands, like, you always stay parallel to the wall."
Yeah, right.
Whereas I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Because my body then, as soon as I do it, my back tries to arch out. I can't keep it flat. Yeah. She's like, that should be your baseline. You should be able to do that.
Okay.
She's like, because you're sitting in a chair all day and your posture, your body just can't do it. So tomorrow's my last. I'm actually changing jobs. I'm going back to being a tradie again.
Yeah, nice.
So I'm interested to see, like, even in a month
what changes.
What changes is from that.
That'd be awesome.
Which is interesting.
Yeah. I to be honest, I've noticed a huge difference going to an office job, and just like you said. It wrecks you. Sitting in a chair for 8 hours wrecks you.
Well, we're just not designed to do it.
No. So and that's another aspect of hunting that I really enjoy is, like I said, you get out in nature, and for me that's like a reset and refresh physically and mentally.
Yeah.
I get to gather food sometimes, like we talked about, but then also I get to sit there and watch nature and in all of its magnificence. But even just from a health perspective, I'm out there walking around, and it's almost like a trade. I expend energy to get the food.
Yeah.
To give me energy, almost like we were talking about how those wild animals do that. They weigh up. Is the expense in energy that I'm going to use to get this food worth my while? Well, you don't expend too much energy going down to the shops and buying some food. But if you have to really work for your food, one, it makes you respect that hunk of meat that you've got a lot more.
Yeah.
And you use it wisely. But two, it just gets you out moving and gets you fit to do that. So I really enjoy it from a fitness perspective.
I think I'm going to have to try it, I reckon I'm going to have to go on. I'll
have to take you out sometime.
Yeah, even if it's at least, because I've tried. I'm not a good shot at all. So that would just be inhumane to any animal out there. Yeah. I'd be as bad as like a wild dog.
Yeah.
But like just experiencing that would be, that'd be cool. Like I think, like I forced myself to watch someone like from scratch do butcher a cow, but is that the right word?
Butcher? Yeah, butchering. Yeah,
make it all, turn it into all the cuts of meat and stuff. Yeah. It was pretty full on. Like it was pretty confronting. Yeah. I'm like, well, this is what I eat every day. Well, not every day, but most days. I'm like, if I expect somebody else to do this, I should be able to watch it. Like it doesn't necessarily become desensitized to that because it is still an animal. But I strongly believe in that kind of, as much as possible, trying to understand where things come from. Yeah. It's impossible to do for every single thing.
No, you can't do it for everything.
But for something like that I eat and I'm putting in my body, that's important.
Yeah.
To me, it's 100%. Important anyway. There'll be other people out there who are like, I'm not doing that, like Danielle. Not interested.
Yeah.
Well, she doesn't even really like red meat. Like, it's not her thing.
Yeah, right.
She's never liked it. So it's funny. We're watching, or anytime we're on watching TV and there's like an animal being killed, or even just like a food show and there's like red meat.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I can't watch that.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah,
you should, don't watch a hunting TV show then. Well, let's not take her.
Yeah. Don't go watching Meat Eater or anything like that.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was like, because I remember I actually watched that video of, it was a dairy cow, I think. I think they'd killed it and so they hung it from it was like a mobile butcher who came in. And Daddy's like, oh, what are you watching? I'm like, you would not want to watch. You do not want to watch what I'm watching right now.
Yeah. Courtney's similar. She she doesn't mind me hunting or anything like that, but she doesn't want to see me breaking down the animal. She doesn't want to see me butchering it up.
Yeah.
So long as it comes in, I come home and not since we've been married. Not that I've had a chance to get out hunting and bring home a deer yet, but yeah. So long as it's cryovac and in its cuts of meat, she's fine, and she's happy to come out camping with me and come hunting with me. But that actual process she doesn't need to see, which is fair enough. Yeah, it's not for everyone.
I think for me that was the most confronting.
Yeah. And it is. I mean, I had friends out at Crow's Nest who had a little hobby farm, and they had some sheep on that farm that they raised for food. That was the intended purpose when they started raising them, and they got to the stage where it was time to harvest them.
Yeah.
And so they called me up and said, hey, we know you go hunting, you know how to butcher an animal and get, the most out of the animal. Can you come and show us how to do it? So they, because of the size block that they were on, we couldn't really use firearms, but you can get this little device that uses a rod. It works off just like a little charge, and you just go up to their head and you just knock it on their head, and they're dead straight away.
Thing ever.
Yeah.
If anything, it's like
just as effective as a bullet. Really,
this is like the most humane way. Like this is the most peaceful way that you could ever die as an animal.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
It's not often that an animal just is lying in bed and then they just drift off while holding their like loved one's hand.
That's it. It doesn't happen in the
wild. That's
wild.
what people kind of think.
Animals don't die of old age.
Just let it die of old age.
Yeah.
Like that's not how they all get ripped apart. Like it's not how it works.
Like if they're injured, if they're sick, if they're getting old but they're not at old age yet. If they're herd animals, the herd usually just disowns them, and they're out on their own, and they'll just freeze or starve or whatever.
It's brutal,
So anyway, these friends got me around, and they were fine with that aspect of it. They were fine with skinning it, but as soon as it started to come to, it was while the head was attached.
Because it's still an animal to them.
Yeah. Once I'd taken the head and the hooves off and gutted it, they were fine then. It was a carcass. It was meat.
Yeah.
And so they were fine with that. But it was that point, between having the head on and head off, that was a bit uneasy for them. They got through it all right. But yeah, it's funny how we associate certain parts of an animal.
Yeah, like you can look at a piece of steak. And so often I'm not even thinking of, where would this, like I'm not picturing that, like nice
Daisy
cut,
the cow
like
in the paddock.
sitting on like the butt of that cow. I'm not doing that. But it is, but I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
But it is funny how we do that as humans, isn't it? We do it for so many things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you became a financial advisor.
Yeah.
You're into hunting.
Yeah.
You were also in the military for a while.
Yeah, so I did 10 years in the Air Force.
It was 10 years. Okay,
10 years. Well, just shy. I was like 9 and a bit. Right. So I started off in like similar to the infantry in the army. There's a unit in the Air Force that do a similar or very different, but it's probably the easiest way to explain to someone so they can visualize it.
Yeah.
It was a infantry kind of based role.
And so infantry is on the ground.
On the ground.
Combat.
Yeah. So our role is, when I was there, was to mainly defend against airfields.
Okay.
Our own airfields, obviously. So I did that for a little bit, and then went to down to Canberra, and was posted to a ceremonial unit down there.
What's that mean?
So we did all of the ceremonial activities for the Defence Force. So we were kind of like the face of the Defence Force. If foreign dignitaries came over, presidents or prime ministers of other countries, that sort of thing, we'd do a parade for them.
So you all dressed to nines?
Yeah,
kind of thing,
all in the ceremonial get up. You may have seen on TV for Anzac Day and that sort of stuff, the ceremonies that are done in Gallipoli and France.
Yes,
So that's all the Federation Guard as well, that ceremonial.
Right. Did you go and do any of those ones?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
So I went to Gallipoli in 2010, I want to say it was.
Wow. What was that like?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was it kind of brought perspective to the whole story that you hear. It's easy to hear it over here, but to go and stand on the beach and just look at the cliffs that they would have faced.
Impossible task, hey?
Just being hammered with machine gun fire from those cliffs. It would have just, and then go, we're going up that. It's just crazy.
Even like, sorry to take us off task a bit, but like, as they coming in on those boats, like, it would have been terrifying.
Yeah. Because they weren't expecting to land there. They were meant to land somewhere else. But coming in and seeing that and going,
what are we doing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's right. Nuts. And on the flip side of that, going to Turkey now, I mean, Turkey's, when I went, there's a little bit of unrest at the moment, but when I went, amazing country, really amazing country. I'd go back there for a holiday.
Yeah, I've heard it's beautiful.
As Australians, we were treated really well. And it's one of the only major wars that I know of where the opposing sides are now like friends.
Yes.
And celebrate that. Celebrate sounds like a really weird word to use, but celebrate that.
Commemorate it together.
Yeah, commemorate it.
And celebrate.
And celebrate moving forward together.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it?
So, it was really, really cool to be a part of that.
That's amazing.
So, did that, went to, we did so many ceremonies, went to the demilitarized zone over in Korea.
Yeah, right.
For the 70th anniversary of the signing of the ceasefire for that.
That's between North and South Korea.
Yeah, between North and South Korea. So that border that you always see like on the news and stuff where they're facing off against each other.
It's the one I've looked, because I work in an office, and for like the last, I reckon, couple of months, I've kind of like my mind's been on other things. So I've like spent, this is terrible, I hope my boss isn't listening to this, but although he won't be my boss after tomorrow, sorry Chris. But I reckon I spent like a good hour on Google Maps, like trying to find, like, because so much of that, it's they haven't like graded out, but it just looks a bit weird.
It's kind of funny, and then there's and then it goes out into the ocean as well, and there's a little island off to the side that's kind of in hot debate as to who it is.
Okay.
Because it kind of, the line that they've drawn kind of gets to the island, and what happens then? So it was quite
Kim
interesting.
Jong can put his little holiday house on there or something.
They quite often they actually share it.
Okay.
And they use it as a military like target practice kind of area, or they used to back when I went. That's what we got told. So. Probably not the best, not the most ideal location.
Cool.
So did that. I went to Papua New Guinea, saw one of the last remaining Fuzzy Wuzzy Angels, and we presented him with some.
That's a tribal leader.
So the Fuzzy Wuzzy Angels were they were the locals for Kokoda. That used to help like carry injured troops out along the Kokoda Trail and stuff like that, because that's a brutal trek too. I've never actually done it. I've seen parts of it, but I've never actually done the whole thing. But that is just
it's an amazing experience.
Yeah. It would be something. It's on my bucket list of things to do for sure.
There's a girl, I've been trying to get her on this podcast for ages. I started back when I released it, like did it a couple of years ago, or a year ago, whatever. But she is one of the youngest. She's the youngest girl to ever climb Mount Everest. Right. Maybe she's the youngest Australian female. Her name's Alyssa Azar. Fascinating. But she did the Kokoda Trail when she was 8.
Yeah,
with,
wow.
like her dad. Yeah, and now they run, I can't remember what the company's called, but they have a company where they run expeditions and all these
like an adventure.
Throughout the world and stuff. I just want to be awesome, talk to her and just like even just the realities and go, we hear all this stuff about climbing Mount Everest. Let's actually dig in a bit. Like for the dumb person like me, you know, where you say, we need to spend 3 weeks acclimatizing. What does that mean? Like, why are you doing that? And how do you do that? You know, things like that. But that Kokoda track, or the Kokoda Trail, or was it track? One of them.
Either one.
It looks pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Even more incredible that they actually did that.
Yeah.
As soldiers.
Fully kitted up. Yeah. Incredible. And it was, I don't know what the season is called over there, but it was like storm season, and it was all just muddy and
just amazing. It's
crazy.
Amazing what their human body, or as humans, what we can accomplish if we need to. If there's no other option, you just can't give up. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So that you did a lot of ceremonies. Sounds like you got around a bit then.
Yeah. Well, I think I counted one of the years that I was there. I went to 12 different countries or something.
Yeah, right.
And all around Australia. It was a great way to. Before joining the military, I'd never been outside of Queensland, except for like northern New South Wales, Byron Bay kind of area. But I'd never travelled anywhere else. So for me, it was a great experience just to travel all around Australia, and I was very lucky in getting to go to the overseas places that I did, not having to fight at all, but for a very different reason, a really ceremonial aspect. It was really cool. So really, really lucky in that regard to have.
So were you in the ceremonial for your entire time?
For what was it? 4 years, I think it was.
4 years,
4 or 5 years. Yeah. So a decent chunk of it.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it, and I was actually part of the different parts within that ceremonial unit, and one of them was a precision drill team, it was called, and so we did displays at career expos and things like that.
Is that all the cool gun stuff?
Yeah,
that stuff's fascinating. You know, they flick it around.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I wasn't actually on the rifles on that one. I was drumming. Behind them. But with my experience with music from, learning music at school and that sort of stuff, it was quite funny how it came around. My first day at the unit when I went into to start at the unit down in Canberra, one of the sergeants that was there, he was showing me around and stuff, and I got introduced to the person who led that precision drill team. And just off the cuff, he's like, "Oh, you don't happen to play drums by any chance, do you?" And
you should ask that.
He was just joking, and I'm like, "Yeah, well, funny you mentioned that because I actually play orchestral percussion."
Yeah, wow.
And he's like, "Oh, we've been wanting someone like this for ages," because they were just all self-taught kind of drummers, taking it on as a secondary duty.
But it also has to be to a pretty high standard.
Oh, they were great at what they did for sure. Yeah. So it allowed me to kind of sink my teeth into that a little bit and develop a bit more structure around that. Write a drum course so that we could bring people in who wanted to drum and teach them the basics, the fundamentals, all the rudiments, that sort of stuff. Teach them how to read basic drum music as well, train them up, and then have like an assessment procedure and all that sort of stuff to get them to just take that high standard that they're at to the next level kind of thing. And give them some skills that they could then go on and use elsewhere if they wanted to as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really a fun little project that I had while I was there as well, and kind of getting to sink my teeth into that made me want to stay for longer to kind of see that project through.
Yeah.
So yeah, all in all, my career in defence was really good. There's some aspects that I miss about it now, but as a whole, it was kind of a chapter of my life that I had a lot of life experience that I learnt through that.
Yeah.
And it helps me nowadays, but I'm okay. I'm at peace with having closed that chapter off and moved on to
what aspects do you miss about
elsewhere. I really miss the bond that, like the mateship, I guess is the word that gets used most frequently to describe it. But it was like family. Like you could the close team that you worked in, you'd know almost everything about them.
Yeah. Just such a strong bond.
Yeah, they were like family. They were like another limb on you almost. You knew what they were feeling. You know, you knew when they were having a bad day, and you knew what to do to kind of help them out and that sort of stuff. We used to live in quite tight communities as well, so that increased it. And I mean, like every family or anything, there's always a bit of rivalry and stuff that happens, but on the whole, you know, that's probably the main thing that I miss. Moving now to an office job where there's 3 of us in the office, it's kind of the bookends.
Yes.
The real extremes of both. I'm not in a company that's, you know, 50 employees or something that, you know, has a bit more personal interaction there. There's just the 3 of us, which is great. It's a really tight team, and we all know each other quite well. But that's probably the main thing that I miss. And then the being outdoors, just working outdoors constantly.
Yeah. And just those experiences.
Yeah, the experiences. I mean, I got to go skydiving. I got to go scuba diving.
They trained you in that.
Got to do a snow survival course out the back of Thredbo. In the snowy mountains. All those kind of things as well were just really cool things that, especially some of those survival aspects and things like that, help me in my hunting. Now, I don't use them every time I go out hunting, but just knowing that I've got that skill set there if something was to happen allows me to venture further and deeper into the wilderness and know that I'm going to be okay, know that I'm going to, you know.
It's also just good skills to have.
Yeah.
And
I think so.
Just even a snow survival course, I imagine there would have been times in that which were like bloody hard.
Oh, yeah.
And so kind of you learn stuff about yourself, and you kind of go, if I can get through that, like, you know, some of the things you've done, it gives you a lot more confidence in your general life.
That's right. Yeah.
You know that what you can do is actually sometimes like way, way more than what your brain, what your mind thinks that it can do. You know?
Probably the most afraid I was in that that snow survival course was we had to build like little snow caves in the side of a mountain, and that's one of the ways that you survive is to dig out this cave.
So you're out of the wind and things.
Out of the wind, out of the cold. It actually holds the heat quite a lot in there too, and somewhere to give you protection to sleep and that sort of stuff. So, but what you have to do is you kind of have to dig a tunnel in. And then you dig, because hot air rises, you dig up and then you dig across and then you make your hole. Yeah. So it kind of traps the air. So the hot air comes in, rises up, and then gets trapped in there.
Because if it was just a hole in, it would all just go out.
Yeah, you'd get cold air coming in and losing all the hot air kind of thing. But to do that, you kind of have to dig in, push the snow out, then dig up, push the snow out, and then you're digging in, but you're pushing the snow down this tunnel that you've made. So you're kind of trapping yourself in, and then you have to kind of push that snow out.
Does it
and
not
ice
cave
and stuff.
in on you?
So the hot air actually makes a layer of it melt and turn to ice and then harden. So structurally
like
it's quite
kind of thing,
quite good. Yeah, kind of like an igloo.
Yeah.
So you don't build it square. You build it as a round, like an igloo, that kind of shape to give it. I guess I'm not an engineer, but I guess that gives it a bit more structure.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that feeling of almost burying yourself to a degree while you're digging that out. That
pretty
was
dark while you're doing
you couldn't see anything. It was and cold and wet while you're doing it. It was a point. You get to certain points doing stuff like that where you're like, I just have to push through this.
Yes.
And as much fear that's building up inside you of something going wrong or something like that, you just got to push through it. And so that kind of skill of just breaking that mental barrier and pushing through that. And I mean, physically as well, there's times in defense where you just feel so exhausted and you just go, I just got to push through this. Just got to get to the next milestone. That skill in itself is really handy, especially being an outdoorsy kind of person. Yeah. You're always faced with that kind of.
So what did that look like? So they just, I'm picturing Bear Grylls, even though I know that is not necessarily, a lot of the times it's like Bear Grylls is here, but then there's like a caravan right there. Off camera. Did they just kind of, like, you obviously had a bit of training beforehand, but then they just drop you off somewhere and they're like, survive?
Yeah, not really. So the courses, well, the one that I did for the snow survival wasn't quite that extreme. It was we cross country skied.
Okay.
To a backcountry area, which was really beautiful. It was like nice and scenic as we were going, and
amazing.
That was pretty cool.
Calm before the storm.
Yeah. and then we got to the spot, and I can't even remember how long we stayed. I think we stayed like 4 days or something.
Yeah,
I think at wherever we ended up, and so we came across, and we all had packs. So you had food and stuff. It wasn't we're putting you in a survival situation, use the skills that you know. This was more, these are the skills we're teaching you for a survival situation.
Okay, so it's the course is what you're on.
Yeah, so it was the course. So we had, whatever we could carry in our pack, basically, whatever we were happy to carry in our pack, we could take. So food and all that sort of stuff we had, which was all right. It was more a case of if you find yourself out in the snow, deserted, in a snow environment, this is how you build your shelter. This is how you would look for food. This is, all that sort of stuff. So
you're in a plane and it goes down in the snow or something.
Yeah.
This is how you survive until help arrives.
Yeah. So it was really good. Or even, they have a lot of teams as well. So defense run almost like a mini Olympics sometimes.
Yeah. Okay.
Where they have inter-service sport competitions and stuff like that. Some of them are snow sports, and so just learning how to survive if something happened while you're out in the snow somewhere.
Yeah,
all
skiing
that,
out in the backcountry somewhere,
handy
and something
skills
happens.
To have. Yeah,
this is how you can keep yourself alive.
Yeah. So that was super fun as well. Really enjoyed that and learnt a lot from it.
Yeah, right.
So hopefully I never have to use it in real life, but
no. But it's just all good experiences.
Yeah, and it was so much fun.
Yeah, and you didn't it's all paid for by the military and stuff.
That's
it's not often that you can kind of just go and do these things.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
that is the cool thing. That going back to what you said about like that mateship and thing. I do hear that a lot from listening. Not that I've sat down personally and spoke to too many people who have come out of the military or retired from the military, but that seems to be like the biggest thing that they miss is that connection, which I think, from what I understand, can lead to a lot of that PTSD that happens as well, where they feel lonely and they miss that, and definitely.
Some of my best mates are from my time in the military now.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's so good. You share a bond that is so different than anybody else, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good stuff. That's great. That's so good. We've talked about a lot.
We've covered
I was just
heaps.
thinking, man, I was like, just as we were finished now, I was like, whoa, we have covered a lot of stuff. No, that's been really cool sitting down with you, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's when you said to when you sent me the invitation to be on the podcast, Courtney was kind of like, "Oh, there's so much to you. You know, what are you going to talk about? All that kind of stuff." So, no, it's been good because, that's kind of one of my downfalls, I suppose. I have such a wide variation of stuff I enjoy that I get into all these hobbies, and trying to find time to do them all is just there's just not enough hours in the day.
Especially like things like hunting as well.
Hunting.
You can't just go for an afternoon.
Yeah, no, it's like a 4 or 5 hour drive to get somewhere to go hunting, or even interstate a lot of times. And then, you know, I do I still love scuba diving. I still do scuba diving a fair bit. But again, living where we live, Bayside, I wouldn't go scuba diving out in the bay. There's too many bullies and stuff like that. But down the Gold Coast, so that's a couple of hours drive.
Yeah,
to
there's
get
like
down to
a
the Gold
feed.
Coast.
I've heard about. Is it in there's like Wavebreak Island area, but then is it in the Spit there?
The Spit, yeah, that's
there's
great.
like a big feeding. What do they call it? Like a feeding, like a cleaning station.
Yeah.
For all the fish come and get cleaned by each other.
Yeah, it's great. And that's one of my favourite spots actually to go because it's a shore dive, so you can just walk. You don't need a boat or anything. You can just walk straight into the water and go diving. And the Seaway produces something new every single time I go.
It's constantly changing.
Yeah, there's this one resident cod that's there that's massive. Who I see pretty much every time I go diving there. But other than that, that's pretty much the only standard thing I see every time. You know, sometimes you'll get grey nurse sharks, sometimes you'll get stingrays, sometimes you'll get turtles, dolphins, all sorts of stuff through there.
Which you would never think, hey.
Yeah, with the amount of traffic, like boats and stuff that go through there, you would never think that. Yeah. And it's not super deep. It's only at the deepest it probably gets to about 15 metres, but that's not much of it that's 15 metres. It sits around 5 to 10 metres, so it's not hugely deep.
No, because you can't. Because I've been scuba diving up in Great Barrier Reef. I only did it once. It was amazing. But like that's when you're on top of the water there, you can look and see reef. You can't really do it. Like in this, I remember because I haven't been surfing much down there for a while, but we used to go surfing down at the Spit a bit. And occasionally, you know, we'd be between the Spit and the sand pumping jetty. But, you know, sometimes you'd get up and walk along the rock wall. But when you look down, you wouldn't think, like it just looks like a rough sort of seaway.
Yeah.
You wouldn't, then I got told there's all this diving down there. And I looked at photos and like, what the heck? I would never have thought
it's incredible. So they've got a sewage line that runs out there and another pipe. I think it's a sand pipe that runs out.
That's joining the mainland and South Stratty, isn't it?
No, it just runs out into the water. Sand pipe, sorry. The sand pipe joins, I think.
So where's the sewage go?
The sewage just pumps out
into the
water.
It's treated sewage.
Yeah, treated sewage.
So it's essentially just water, isn't it?
It's like a murky brown water. Yeah. But it's treated. So it just pumps back out into the ocean. But off those pipes, there's all sea life growing off those pipes. Right. So the fish love along there.
Yeah.
And then the bottom, you get the rock wall, obviously, and you'll find octopus and all sorts of stuff hiding, eels, that sort of stuff hiding in there. And then, but the actual bed is just sand.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, it can be, the tide can be quite strong there, so you got to pick your time. And visibility, because of the amount of traffic and all kinds of stuff, visibility can chop and change quite a bit.
Yeah, it's pretty prone to, like, even after a lot of rain, it all just kind of rushes out there. Like you wouldn't be able to see anything at the moment, for sure.
Yeah. But no, it's a great little spot and pretty, like, inexpensive. Once you got all the gear, it's pretty inexpensive because you just got to drive down there. Yeah. It's about $30 for a tank of air and then you're off.
It's a cool it's an awesome experience. Hey?
Yeah, it's a whole nother world down there.
Yeah, and just that I remember we went for a work Christmas trip, and so we went up to Cairns and then got a scuba diving boat out. And so we did 2 dives. One was not as deep. So this French dude, he taught us everything. It was amazing that he could teach us in one day. It's just even safe. I don't know. But the first one, you know, you kind of go down the rope, and then it was sandy, and there was this giant, like, clam thing.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, this is awesome. Like, it's cool. Couldn't see heaps. And I talked to him like, and then we went for like another 2 hours out. And I'm like, oh, where are we going now? He's like, what you just did then, it's good. You're not going to believe what you're going to see out here. And you get in, it was just like, it was so clear that you forget that you're in water.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And we went so far down and swam between these, like these arches and stuff. And most terrifying thing, it was all beautiful, there's all colours and fish and everywhere. And then he's like, oh, you know, meant like gestures like follow me sort of thing. We went through like this little tunnel thing, but then it wasn't black, but it was like dark blue and you could just like look down. And we were at the edge. It was like on Finding Nemo. It was like, don't go to the edge of the, and then in my head I was like, I've watched Finding Nemo. I know what happens when you go to the edge of the reef.
When you touch the butt.
It was terrifying. Like, and one of the guys actually freaked out. He was like, just shot off. So he was like, I'm not doing this. But because it was just that kind of like looking into nothing.
Yeah, just into the abyss.
And just like, there's going to be a giant shark or something going to come and grab me. But that was just the being able to just be with your own. Like, I obviously couldn't do it as much as I would if I was experienced, but you kind of just it's just you and the ocean.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how, and obviously these sea life are probably used to people doing it. They just didn't care.
Yeah.
They come up and they'd like, there's a big fish. I think he might have been a big groper or a cod or something. He'd come up and he kept like, the guy warned us before, he's like, there's a big fish down here. He's not going to hurt you. Yeah. But he likes like the feeling of like a
he'll just mouth you.
Yeah, and he'll come up and like mouth you, but then also just rub against your arm and stuff. Yeah. And then there was underneath the boat, and he goes, oh, and the other thing is when you come back to the boat, you'll notice there's a huge barracuda, like a big silver, who just they called it Barry the barracuda or something, hangs around underneath the boat.
Yeah, right.
But he's like, if you've got any GoPros or anything, just don't put them there because they've had a couple of tourists that try and take like an underwater photo, and he saw the flash of silver and thought it was a fish.
Oh, and
just went at him.
Yeah,
like,
right.
That
because they got big teeth too, barracudas.
Yeah, this thing is terrifying. Yeah. Like, and because it's so clear, it's like 2 meters away, and the goggles are kind of like, I don't know if they did, but it felt like they magnified a bit.
Yeah, right.
I was like, I'm getting out. Like, I'm not like I've been in the water heaps. I'm not that scared, but I was like, this is confronting. You have massive teeth. Yeah, and you apparently like silver things. Yeah. And I have a silver air tank on my back.
No. It's pretty good, and it's a whole nother world down there. We I know because I did my my basic underwater diving ticket and then did my advanced ticket after that. And during the advanced ticket you go a little bit deeper, which presents its own challenges, and you also do things like underwater navigation. You can do a rescue course. We did a night dive, which was super interesting because you can only see whatever your torch points at. But the instructor said to us, when you get down there, do what go for a dive, look around. We're all qualified scuba divers at this stage, so he didn't really need to tell us too many of the basics. But he said, have a look around, and then what I want you to do once you're comfortable being diving at nighttime is cover your torch up.
Yeah.
And just sit there and just watch. And so we did that. We were hanging around. It was almost like a big canyon of rock formations and stuff where we're doing this dive. So I was shining my torch around, looking at all of so much different sea life comes out at nighttime.
Yeah.
You can see all these little shrimp and all sorts of stuff. So shining it around, having a good look at everything, and then I cover my torch up. And it was almost like I just got taken to that like Avatar in the movie. Yeah. Everything just glowed from all the phosphorus that was in it. And it was incredible. And I just got hooked from that. I was just like, amazing, that's so cool. Yeah. So it's a whole nother world under there. But
the most scary thing I ever watched, not like horror scary, but just like, what are you guys doing? I watched on Netflix this documentary about cave divers.
Yeah.
And these guys, and they were in, I think it was in like Iceland or maybe Norway, one of those countries.
Yeah.
And so it's snowing, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there's this cave, and I can't remember, but it was like mind-blowingly deep how far they go. And then it goes like a couple of kilometers. So now they're like, it must have been like I don't know how deep you can go. Like this is before it's a problem. But it sounded like it was like a couple of 100 meters.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it could be.
And then, so it's very, very deep. And then they went like 2 kilometers or 3 kilometers this way through all these things. There's parts where like it's like this narrow and they've got to like take their thing off. What do you call it?
Their tank and
squeeze through.
BCD and everything. Yeah.
Like, why are you doing this? And then, and it's silted. But what happened was the story was around, they did this trip and one of their friends died. He got his bottle stuck.
Yeah.
And just couldn't get out. And the authorities like closed the cave off. They went, no one's going in here. But they wanted to go and get his body for his family. And so they organised this dive and man.
Was that, did you say that was on Netflix
It was
or
on
something?
Netflix or something.
Yeah, I think I've watched that one.
Yeah.
It was
they talk about it's all silted. Like,
yeah. It would be incredible to experience doing a cave dive. I reckon it'd be cool. But Courtney never let me do it, which is understandable. It's pretty risky, but they were. So those guys, if it's the documentary that I was thinking of, they were mapping a new cave. So the cave had been mapped to a certain point, but no one had explored past there.
Yeah,
and so the team of them were mapping this new.
Yeah,
and then they had to go. Yeah, when they lost one of their team members, they had to go. Like almost undercover, they had to go at nighttime and stuff and avoid the police and all sorts of stuff to try and get this guy out.
The thing that was mind blowing to me is how they would like position the different tanks throughout the
cave.
Yeah,
the stage
so that
tanks.
when they ran out. But then how they're talking about there's so much silt in this cave that if you freak out and move too much, like you just lose like 100% visibility.
Yeah,
and one of the guys did that. I think he was looking for his tank, did it, and then he just didn't know which way was up, which was down, and it took him ages to try and figure out where it was to.
Yeah,
I was like sweating.
It can be easy to get disorientated. Like I said, I've never been in a cave diving, so I don't know what it would be like. But I just reckon it would be amplified so much more. I went diving over in WA though, Western Australia, off the coast of Western Australia, off an old Navy wreck.
Yeah, right.
There and the guy that I was diving with, we'd gone through the whole ship. He actually served time on that ship, so he knew it all. Yeah, so he's like, I'll take you for a tour kind of thing.
That'd be awesome.
So we went through, had a look at all the ship, and then at the end of it, we still had some air left. And we kind of signalled to each other, well, we're at the front of the boat or the ship, and we kind of signalled to each other, let's just go down the front of the boat and see how deep it goes. We got to 40 meters and we could still see more down, and we were like, oh, we'll just call it there, kind of thing. Because if you get too much further on just oxygen,
and stuff
you can get oxygen poisoning. If you go past 50 meters, you have to change to different gases.
Is that where they put is it nitrogen or something?
Yeah, helium. Yeah. Helium's another gas that they use. There's one called a trimix, which is 3 different gases.
And that's just because different pressures, the different pressure on your body and things like that.
Yeah. And because your oxygen, the pressure in your oxygen tank, your oxygen is so compressed, it's a lot more concentrated.
Yeah.
So when you take a breath in, you're consuming a lot more oxygen, and as you know, oxygen is good for you when you're breathing it, but too much oxygen all at once can give you oxygen poisoning. Yeah. So once you get past that 50 meters, it starts getting really risky to suck in oxygen.
I'd never thought about how the air in your tank gets pressurized as well. Yeah, it is pressurized, but there you go.
How it compresses.
Something. How the pressure,
So that's why as you go deeper too, you lose time that you can stay down there on a single tank of air.
Yes.
At 10 meters, you could stay there for an hour and a half or so. At 20 meters or 30 meters, you may only be able to be down there for 15 minutes because otherwise you'll run out of air because the air's gone from this much to this much.
Yeah, true. That's why.
Yeah,
that makes so much more sense.
And so you could stay down there if you had an unlimited supply of air. You could stay down there for as long as you wanted and not get the bends. It's coming back up that you have to do slowly because you build up nitrogen bubbles in your blood, and that's what causes the bends. If you rise too quickly, because the nitrogen expands at a different rate to you, and so it can blow vessels and all sorts of stuff.
I just watched a podcast, and it had a guy, he was an American, and he was an astronaut on it. But for NASA, they have like this habitat in the ocean somewhere off Florida, I think, and they can stay down there for you stay down there for 4 weeks or something. Yeah. So they're in like this little, it's like a little bell. Yeah, it's a bell. So you put a cup on the water, you go up and it's empty, you know. But they were like 50 meters underwater or something like this. Yeah. But the stories that he was telling, you know, like to go to the toilet, they had like this little, they called it a little cave or something, and it was 10 meters or so from their little thing. So to do that in the middle of the night, you jump into the water, and they didn't have any lights, but there was a little light on this thing. Yeah. Have to swim over to that. You put your head up so you can breathe, and then you essentially just let rip sort of thing. Yeah. Because all the fish would just come after you. That he was talking about I liked his because they talked about the bends. It was a long time. We had to come back up. But he goes, you know, the easiest way to explain it is if you take like a Coke bottle that's fizzy, if you take the lid off, it goes psh, and it goes everywhere. Yeah. Or if you crack it and slowly let the pressure out, so that's exactly what your body's doing. Yeah, the nitrogen's got to come out of your body. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And there's so some of those cave divers and stuff, some of the tanks that they use that they breathe off as they're coming back up have certain gases in them that try and purge the nitrogen out a bit quicker, so that they don't have to spend hours down there doing decompression all the way up.
Because that was the other thing about the cave diving. It's freezing cold.
Yeah, they were doing it in dry suits. That's right, yeah.
What are you doing? Why are you doing this? And their poor families, like they showed some of their wives and stuff, or like there's a lady and a husband, and they're just like, I'm just terrified. Like every time this person goes out, I'm just terrified. Like,
that's like commercial saturation divers. Yeah. The deep sea divers.
On oil rigs and stuff. That's amazing, that job.
Yeah, they'd take a special like wife or husband to withstand your partner going away and doing that constantly.
You're going away for a long time. Yeah. You're doing one of the riskiest things.
Because they fly out, obviously, to the ship that then they dive off. They have to go into a chamber on the ship to acclimatise.
Yeah, like a pressurised chamber.
Yeah, a pressurised chamber. So they live in that for, I don't know, I want to say it's like a month or so that they live in that.
I think they usually do like 3 or 6 month stints.
Yeah, on the ship. And then they get put into the bell that gets dropped down into the floor of the ocean. Yeah. They do their jobs and they may be down there for a couple of days or something like that. And then they come back up and they bring them straight back up because it's still all pressurized. And then they live in that habitation set up again, pressurized.
To get the food to them and stuff.
Yeah. And so they slowly bring the pressure down, but they have to stay in there for like 2 months or something after they come back up from the surface of the.
Imagine how well you get to know your workmates. You wouldn't want to have an idiot as a boss.
I don't reckon that if you didn't gel well, I don't reckon you'd last too long in that career. It must be they said that there's less people and there's less known about like those sort of depths in the ocean than there is about space.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
That's mind blowing. We know more about space and can see more than we know about the ocean.
Yeah. It's insane.
Like, what the heck?
Yeah, it's just mind blowing.
You know James Cameron, like the director, because he's really into like deep sea exploration, and he has his own submarines and ships and stuff.
Was he the guy that did the documentary?
Yeah,
with his submarine. Yeah,
that's the one that I watched that one. Well, because he did Titanic and things like that, and so a lot of all that footage that you see of the Titanic, that was his Explorer Edition. It helps when you're like a billionaire. Or whatever. But, like my hobby is I don't know, I play guitar. And stuff. He goes.
Yeah, he takes his submarine.
Yeah, but like part of his reason for doing it is because of that fact. He's like, let's figure out our own planet.
Yeah.
Like there's constantly finding new animals and stuff down there.
Yeah.
They're like, we didn't never knew this existed.
Yeah. It's crazy, hey?
It's mind blowing to me.
And the fact that stuff can live at those kind of depths in that kind of pressure. Like that is extraordinary pressure down there.
Like, it'd just crush anything. And they're just chilling. Yeah. And like literally chilling because it's so cold.
Yeah. Like we can't, there's depths of the ocean that we can't even build something that's strong enough to get down there to see it. And there's animals living down there that are just enjoying life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Some of those, and how they're all like, so many of them are like translucent and they have like those fish that they create their own electricity.
Yeah, to attract prey and stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, that's cool. Yeah, like electric eels. This is the last topic, but I don't know why. This is how my brain works, but I was thinking, how does an electric eel work? Like, how does it actually generate electricity?
Yeah.
So I went on this wormhole tangent thing of like Googling and researching how that's incredible how it can generate its own electric
Never
charge.
looked into that. I've never come across an electric eel.
Yeah, never
before, but
because I saw it on a video and it was like in a mud dam thing, and this dude got belted by an electric eel.
So what happens when you touch them? You get an electric shock. It's like touching an electric fence or something, is it?
Yeah, but like they can kill people.
Oh, really?
Like it's full on.
Yeah,
like
right.
they can stun animals and stuff. Like they've talked about how, because eels can kind of live in like mud and just feral animals. But they like there's been cases where like a big animal like a cow or something has been drinking the water and the eel has stunned it and given it a heart attack.
Wow.
But from what I could see, you don't have to be touching it. It's just in that area. Like if it's in
because they're in water, I suppose, and water's a conductor.
But it was something between. They've got all these little. See, this is the problem. Going back to the very first thing, I learnt it. Now I can't remember it.
Yeah.
But it was like different things in their tail or something that they're positive and negative charge.
Yeah, right.
And they've got so many of them that it builds. It's like a whole row of batteries.
Yeah,
so they've got like these little things that are like a battery, but then they're all in series.
Yeah.
And so it becomes this massive charge.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Wow. It's insane.
I remember because I grew up on boats. One day we were coming back we were anchored over near North Stradbroke Island, and it was night time and we were coming back in like the tinny from the shore to our boat. And my dad, just as a comment to scare us, was like, "Oh, be careful! There's probably electric eels in here. Like, hopefully they don't shock the tinny."
Yeah,
I was terrified. It scared the crap out of me for like a good. And we used to go like 2-week holidays or whatever. Like at a time.
Like standing in a lightning storm with holding a metal pole.
But like every time I would get into, and I was young, but I clearly remember every time I would get into that tinny, I'd be terrified.
Yeah.
I'd like put like a towel on my seat and like not put my feet on the floor of the tinny. Because I'm like, oh, electric eel might get me.
Yeah.
Looking back, you're like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Man. What is wrong with you?
That is interesting though about them.
Yeah, it was fascinating. And just that whole, they then talked about all these fish in the ocean. That, like in the deep sea.
The weird stuff.
Yeah, how they create their own electric charges and things.
Yeah, amazing.
It is amazing what life does, that's for sure. But yeah, let's wrap this guy up because we've talked about a lot. It's been great talking though.
Yeah, thanks for having me over.
I don't think we've ever really sat and chatted like this for
We haven't. Not for a long time. No.
It's not often that you get to sit one-on-one with somebody and just sit for I don't know how long we've been going.
Yeah.
Ooh, an hour and 40.
Yeah.
Man, you're our longest one so far. So
you have to cut it.
That'd be right. People could listen. If you've got this far, congratulations.
Yeah, you can drive interstate or something and listen for the whole time.
You are a true fan if you've got this far. So thank you so much for listening. Thanks, Luke, for coming on.
Yeah, no dramas.
It's been
Thanks
awesome.
for having me.
Looking forward to what's going to happen in the future for you.
Thank you.
Let's make that hunting trip happen one day.
Yeah, we'll definitely.
Sounds great. Awesome, man. Thanks so much. See you guys.
Catch up.